The second wave is sweeping across the European continent, but one country seems to be weathering that storm better than most. It is, of course, Norway. If you look at the latest numbers, Norway remains relatively unscathed. It has the lowest rate of new infections in Europe. And compare that with the EU, you see it quite clearly there. Norway is way down there. The European Union is well over 150, and Sweden, next door neighbour, which of course went for the herd immunity, is higher as well. The problem is Sweden and Norway share a 1,600-kilometre border, and Norway is requiring all people from Sweden and all countries shown in red to quarantine upon entry. Greenland and parts of Finland are next, but pretty much most of the close European Union is there. Erna Solberg is the Norwegian Prime Minister and joins me from Oslo. Prime Minister, it is good to have you. I appreciate you taking time in very busy days. The core point here is, and I have the numbers in front of me. Norway, your 14-day cumulative number per 100,000 is 35.2. versus the Czech Republic at 660, two sides of the spectrum. What have you done in Norway that's giving such success?
Well, we have closely been following our numbers, and we've been both tracing the origin of every people who get sick, everybody they have met. We have quarantined people, and we have this strategy of when you have a local outbreak, we are putting a lot of things in force to make sure that it doesn't increase. And we will have outbreaks in different cities and parts of the country. We do have a larger number in Oslo, but overall we see that local governments in Norway, together with the national government, is handling the tracing of the infection, stopping it, quarantining, isolating people, and then we get good numbers, I think. But it's a costly and, of course, a manpower intensive work, right, the way we are doing it.
This idea, though, I mean, if I was to talk to any prime minister in the EU or the UK, they would tell me that they have test and trace in place, but they've got this, that, and the other. They would make all the same noises, but their results are very different. So again, you know, what do you think that you've done right in that sense, or from your observation, were you stricter in opening up in the way you handled the opening up?
We were stricter in the beginning because we had a large influx that came from winter holiday places in Italy and Austria. We were on, I think, number 4 on the list in March of people infected. We managed to put in place a lot of strict measures at that time, and the Norwegian people responded by being good at social distancing, taking their own precautions. We didn't have to stop that much of the economic activity that a lot of other countries had, because people were really following the rules and regulations. And I think still we are blessed with the fact that people have trust in their government, trust in their local authorities, and that they are following the rules and regulations and using social distancing as the most important measure that you can have.
You're the second person on this programme tonight to talk about trust in their government. The head of the ECDC, who you may well be familiar with, said exactly that. Do you think many countries are paying the price of a deficit in trust?
Well, I think yes, in one way. The other thing is that we of course have seen which part of our societies are more vulnerable. Of course, people who are in low income, where the housing conditions are different and more difficult, migrant workers and our minorities. And we've tried to work very closely with health personnel with minority background themselves to reach out to the minority groups in Norway to make sure that they also can listen to the information that you have to understand that in a more diverse society, not everybody is following Norwegian news and Norwegian press conferences. They will have to be reached by other measures. And I think that also makes it easier for us. We are a small country, we are transparent, but we are also quite conscious on the fact that we need to make our information and our knowledge accessible to people and minorities.
All right. But Prime Minister, I wanted to ask you, finally, if I may, you've raised the issue of seafarers, crews on ships. Now, this was something I didn't quite realise, that there are still 800,000 towards 1 million people floating around on ships, delivering the valuable cargoes and medicines and PPEs that we all need. But because they don't have essential worker status, they can't disembark in ports. Doesn't seem fair, Prime Minister.
It's not fair, and it's going to become a more increasing problem for world economy, for business, because some of these boats can't in fact do their job anymore because their workers have to be changed. They can't continue to sail like this. And what we will do is that will in fact increase the costs. It will increase our problems with delivering goods. And I think this is a part of a very large economic problem that we have to deal with. And that's why I believe that all countries should make sure that this is possible. To change the seafarers on the boats would be is important for the seafarers and their families, but it's also important for business.
Prime Minister, very grateful that you've taken time to talk to us today. Thank you, the Prime Minister of Norway, joining me there.